let's go ahead and take a look at one different kind of thing that is not as much manipulating or adjusting type as it is um, using type in a new way. So we have done a bunch of stuff with type on a box, right? So you draw a box, you type in there, it's like making paragraphs. And that makes a lot of sense for big chunks of text that you need to read. Let's look at a new thing to do with some type, and that is putting type along a path. So here I have one of these myriad brass objects I seem to have everywhere. Do I have a path for it? Oh, probably not, right? No. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and flatten this image. I'm going to rotate it. And then I'm going to go ahead and bang out a path along the edge. Paths are also, while we're talking about it, vector-based, but we're not really using them for that. And this, so draw a path. I'm drawing it not right along the edge, and I'm trying to make it fairly smooth-ish. I don't want to have any super abrupt changes in direction for what I'm trying to do. We'll see why in a sec. And just so that I can see how that would go all terribly wrong, I'll put a big jagged thing at the end. Cool. All right, so now I've got some path. I will rename it because I am a good student. Come on, get in there. Thank you. I come down here to my type tool, and as I bring it over to as I bring my type tool over to the text, you'll see that it changes from this type in a box looking thing to something that has this funny little line, like it's like disco font. So if I click on that now, if I look at my paths, now I have all of a sudden a new path out of nowhere. The path changed color. It's now black for some reason, and there is a little blinking insertion point. And as I type, my type follows along that path. So this is text on a path. What is this good for? Oh, you know, I mean, in graphic design things, it is good for a lot of stuff. In everyday usage in Photoshop, I don't know, are you ever going to use it? I don't know, but if you're working with text, which you are certainly for this assignment, and for Project 3, and for other things that will happen to you in the rest of your life, it's really important to know about. So this is text on a path. It acts otherwise just as regular text. I'm going to go ahead and hit paste a bunch of times. So now I've got a lot of text in there, and you can see some of the problems that we have when you have sort of acute angles. I don't know what the proper word is. So I have these collisions, right? So when we do text on a path, you want that path to be relatively smooth. You do not want to have things like what I've got here, right? That path goes up all of a sudden, and so that N is colliding into the I. Over here, right, giant catastrophe. Even here where there's this relatively small thing, we have stuff running into each other. You can adjust that by going to your character palette, and spread that out a little bit. Right, that's one way that you can deal with it. You can just go in there and use the space bar, any of that stuff. You'll notice right now that there is sort of some, the words like stop here, right? Because I have more text than will fit on this path. And I have, as a result, this funny little dot down there. If you can see, it's this dot with like a cross through it. So if I go and I grab my tool over here, direct selection tool, which is the filled in white arrow. If I use the regular white arrow, I can grab that path and move it around. You'll notice this is a different path from the one we initially drew. But if I take my cursor over here, I can actually, I get this funny insertion point with an arrow, and I can drag that back along the path. And what this does is it allows us to say, okay, I have this whole path, but I would like my text to stop here. And so it allows us to decide an endpoint for the text. So that way, if you have a longer, more meandering path, you can say, okay, I'm just going to stop it at this point. And then maybe my text picks up somewhere else. Maybe this is just the end of it, whatever. You can also use that to flip which side of a shape your text is on, right? If I want it to run on the sort of underside of that or above it, right? I can drag it up and down. Play around with it. I feel like this is a little annoying, right? I feel like the making sure that it goes on the top rather than the bottom is helpful. The sort of where it ends can be kind of fickle. Worst case scenario, right? You just go ahead and delete this text, delete that path that it made for it, go back to your original path, and just paste in less text. So that's the last bit, which is text on a path. Again, it's all here in the magic handout. You are going to need to know how to do this stuff for your homework, and I will go over that homework right now in the next clip, because that seems, it's gonna be like 20 fucking clips. The fuck's gonna read me this? No one. If you are watching this clip right now, email me and tell me about it, and I will give you extra credit. It can't possibly be illegal, but you never know, right? You never know. Could be.